for this next session, we are going to have with us Ignasi Castelló, Chief Purchasing and Sustainability at Ficosa. Okay, now we will understand with practical examples how geopolitics affect mobility and the other way around. So thank you, Ignasi, for being with us.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon. I saw the previous presentation and there's a lot of technology. I'm going to land in a different area and talk about geopolitics, okay? Part of the content will be useful for my talk now. Basically, Ficosa is a company that we are celebrating this year, our 75th anniversary, and we are dedicated to automotive sector, fully, okay? We are producing mirrors, cameras, the cameras that were showing before that are interpreting whether there is a pedestrian or a traffic light. So cameras, mirrors, gear shifters, camera monitoring systems, and systems for batteries for electrical vehicles, plug-in hybrids, etc. Okay? So the title today is Mobility is about geopolitics. And I could say also that geopolitics is also affected by mobility, or more generically, by technology, okay? Before starting, let's have a recap. What was the common consensus in the past, before COVID, on the car of the future? Everybody before COVID was talking about the case. Case was understanding the connected, autonomous, shared, and electrified vehicle. Everybody was talking about this, for sure. Everybody was signing for it. Then it came COVID, and what happened? The only adjective or characteristic that stays is connected. Cars, probably much before the COVID, were more than 80% connected, okay? And today, almost all vehicles are connected. What happened with autonomous? Cutting edge news. 2 days ago, Cruise, subsidiary of General Motors, has cancelled his project of robotaxis. They had already 600 autonomous taxis running in San Francisco and in other places of the United States. There is Tesla, Waymo, and Zoox that are working also to implement these robotaxis, but they have federal investigations, okay? So it's something that was, wow, the autonomous vehicle will be the future. Take care. A lot of money. General Motors bought this cruise company by $1 billion in 2016. They have been investing more than 10 billion, and they definitively shut down, announced it a couple of days ago. There are many Chinese companies also here, okay? Operating also in the United States that nobody knows. Probably most of you will not know. So 5 or 6 autonomous vehicle companies are operating and with the cameras looking everywhere in the United States. Okay, so let's see what the new president is doing. And Baidu is having a robotaxi which seems to be the most advanced in the world. So let's see what's going to happen with the Chinese robotaxis. Which are the roadblocks? Software. It's very complex, all the corner cases to detect whether it's a pedestrian, it's a person trying to move, etc. So, and it's related to safe. And the safety was the reason of the cancellation of this program. An accident with a person that was hit by a robotaxi and during 6 meters running under the car. Sensor fusion, corner cases, and the premise, as I was saying, is safety. I put here China, because China is not quite an open market. It seems that in social media there are news posts about accidents by their local robotaxis companies, but officially there are not. Let's see. In shared, it's a characteristic that it's no longer happening because pandemics has softened this desire of sharing the cars. So I'm going myself in my own car, more safe, okay? Or however, new mobility solutions are appearing, no? Like the patinetes, no? The skates, and but not the shared vehicles and the joint ventures that were offering as business model these shared vehicles. And finally, the electrified. And electrified is soft green. Why? Of course there will be electric vehicles, of course. But many years ago, You are listening always the famous golden rule in a holy book, 25-25, which was in 2025, so day after tomorrow, 25% of the cars in all the world will be electric vehicles. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Probably in some countries, yes, in China, but it's not going to happen as a standard. And new solutions will come or are coming, like the plug-in hybrids, like the e-fuel, etc. Okay? Why? Because the cost, surprisingly, of electric vehicles, everyone was expecting that were going to be much cheaper than an internal combustion engine. By the way, one electrical vehicle has 70% less components than an internal combustion engine of gasoline or diesel. 70%. So one might expect, wow, the reduction of the maintenance cost should be incredible, and the price is not the case. As you probably know, that is much more expensive electrical vehicle than the same version of combustion. And as of today, the maintenance of the electrical vehicles are more expensive than the combustion engines. Okay? Also legislation, infrastructure. Cities are not ready. You ask for a permission to open a charger, and it may take up to 2 years from the administration in some of the countries, namely the one where we are today. Okay? And the costs, as I was saying. So, as a conclusion, the case today only has the C that is staying as a characteristic of the vehicles of the future. Okay? Why? Because of the COVID, but also other factors that I will try to explain later on. Okay? Okay. And what has happened then since COVID and a little bit before? That is affecting the mobility. In 2015, the meeting in Paris of the United Nations, fixing a limit of 1.5 centigrade degrees as maximum warming of the Earth. Right after the European regulation for the standard of CO2 emissions that by next year, so by the day after tomorrow, the emission should be 94 grams per kilometer. Okay? This is having a huge impact. Personally speaking, I think that our politicians in Brussels have been, and I'm not just the person, I'm not original, it's being said by all the CEOs of the companies. Today in the press, for example, Luca De Meo is the CEO of Renault, is asking the European Commission to delay this application of the fines. You may say, okay, 94, what is the impact of meeting 94? Next year, it's expected that there will be fines of 15 billion euros in all the OEMs selling cars in Europe. Okay? It's 100 euros per 95 euros per gram and every 100 kilometers in excess of the 94, 93.6 per car sold. So this is 15 billion euros that will not be dedicated to R&D and to investigation. Okay, so it's a huge impact. Well, going back to the history, 2020, the COVID, it started the semiconductor crisis because automotive sector stopped all the demand to the chip suppliers. Then we at home started to buy more iPads, computers, etc. So the semiconductor capacity was dedicated to this kind of products, provoking shortage in automotive when the business started again. In 2022, raw material and energy inflation, we have recovered it partially. Then labor inflation in many countries, still today quite high in the United States and in Mexico. And then, unfortunately, the conflicts, the wars in Ukraine, Israel and Palestine, and now the tariffs, US, China, and also US, Mexico, recently announced by Trump after his election as president. Okay? So basically, we are in the perfect storm. Okay? 1 month ago, more or less, I was here in the headquarters of Ficosa in Barcelona, and I met the president, and he told me, Ignasi, he's 89 years old, he's the founder, and he said, Ignasi, we are suffering the toughest crisis I've ever lived in my life. And he was not talking about Ficosa, or he was not talking about even the automotive sector. He was talking more generically, society, conflicts, etc. And he gave just one receipt. I was expecting, okay, Ignasi, you should invest more in e-fuels, in hydrogen, or in these countries. No, he said, please respect to the values of Ficosa and respect to the purpose of Ficosa. Okay. Basically, it's related also to talent that my predecessor was talking about, the fight we have for talent. No? So this was the magic receipt that one man that founded from nothing un taller, a workshop for repairing mechanical cables that now is a company of 1.4 billion euros, selling cameras, radars, complex technology, he was saying, I'm astonished. I will not see the solution, how you will go out from these turbulences, to not say tsunami. But it's respect to values and to purpose of the company. So the perfect storm due to the pandemics, the shortage of semiconductors, inflations, and geopolitical conflicts. Okay? And there is a graphic way to explain how, or what is the conclusion after all these events, what is happening today. Now that last week there was the manga festival here in Barcelona. It's not a manga, but it's the Xi'an warrior. He's throwing cars like crazy from China to Europe, to United States and Mexico. Why? Because in China, probably you have listened that, wow, Chinese OEMs, Chinese car manufacturers are growing a lot, and that's true. But are they making money? No. Only Will Your Dreams and Tesla, which is not Chinese, but making a lot of money in China. The rest of startups and Chinese car manufacturers are subsidized with hidden or direct or indirect subsidies by the government, and they're not making money, so they go to external markets to make the money. All those companies are making gold here in Europe. Gold. 184 in China, the cost at current exchange rate is around 22,000, 24,000 euros in China. Here it's 40, 41. So what these companies are doing is trying to invade other markets, okay, to make money, which they are doing. What happens in Europe? In Europe, we have not built up a wall like Biden and now Trump has implemented, no, 104% Biden and 25% more Trump. And Biden and Trump, why they are putting a wall and Europe is not doing a wall? Because of the exposure of the external sector over GDP. Exports over GDP in US are 12%. So if China is not happy, the damage, that's not good, but the damage is limited. In Europe, theoretically, the tractor of Europe, Germany, has a 47% of exports over GDP. So imagine all the chemical sector, goods, services, machinery, equipment, how it's going to suffer with the sanctions that China is ready to apply. In fact, some Chinese companies are coming to establish to manufacture cars, and the government has said, hey guys, those countries that say yes to tariff or we're neutral to tariff, you are not going to implement there. So you are only going to Hungary and other countries that said, okay, you can, we don't want tariff for Chinese cars, okay? So 47% Germany, France 30%, Italy 35%, Spain 40%, okay? So we're going to suffer probably. To not say about the rare earths that are dominated and controlled by China, because you can have technology to produce electrical vehicle cars, but if you don't have access to the raw materials, really you don't have the ink of the printer, okay? So the Xi'an warrior filling outer markets with the EV vehicles, but also combustion. You are seeing probably MG cars in the streets, gasoline, very, very competitive and cheap cars. The tariff of US to China, and now US to Mexico. Why? Because it was the back door. A lot of Chinese companies were having plans to implement in Mexico to then build cars there and sell to United States. Biden will stop. Some experts say that it's not really the purpose. The purpose is to stop the fentanyl movements and the illegal immigration. But in principle, he has said he will apply 25% more. This is affecting also our footprint. With the high costs that we see in the United States, one may think, okay, let's move the production facilities and most of the business to Mexico to be produced there. But now you have to rethink because the cost will increase by 25%. So in our day-to-day, the plans that we are doing, somewhere I read in the automotive news a couple of months ago that was a news that was saying the most difficult job in automotive sector today is the chief planning officer. In the past, we have plans 5 years, very stable. Opel Corsa, come on guys, 300,000 vehicles per year. Some model would be 275, some other 310, etc. No? Now you don't know. All the electrical vehicle programs that we have been quoting, when you see the volumes they have in reality, not more than half. And it's incredible because the investments are huge, huge. My predecessor was talking that software chips require more than 100 software engineers. For one camera that we produce, that we develop, we also need more than 100 software engineers during 2 years at least. So it's millions of euros that you cannot amortize. Okay? And last point, that despite this exposure of the GDP, tariffs will start in Europe, so we will also have fun here. By the way, also today, I was reading that China is putting a kind of prosecution or the amplifying glass over NVIDIA. Okay? NVIDIA having 70% operating profit, kind of exclusivity, chips up to 30,000 euros cost individually. Okay, so the war will not be just that there is a wall between China and US. It's also China will counterattack, and is doing already. In numbers, okay, this is the million of cars that are being produced every year in the world. In 2023, it was 19.5 million cars. 2024, at the budget stage, that was April last year, the source that we use, that is IHS, it's a renamed company, was talking about 88.3 million, reducing 2 million. Okay? What we see today is that it will be a little bit better than the budget, but worse still than previous year. Okay, but let's see by brand what has been the behavior. And when we see the comparison versus the budget, almost everyone is decreasing. Okay? Toyota, GM, Renault, Nissan, Ford, Stellantis, Honda, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW. Winners is Hyundai, probably because of their good catalog of products in hybrid solutions or electric solutions, and Volkswagen. But Volkswagen, take care, they are at 8.7 million. Volkswagen in the past was a 10 million vehicles per year company. It's a drama for them. You have seen in the press, they are going to shut 3 plants. It was almost impossible in Germany to shut down 3 plants. With many workers, big conflicts now that they are having, big social conflicts. Okay, so, okay, but decreases of 5, 6, 8, 4, 12, 5, who's winning? Everyone is decreasing. Only with Hyundai, Kia, and this 3% of Volkswagen is compensating, and the reality is no. Let's look at the gray area. No? When we see the gray area, we pass from 30 to 33 million vehicles this year, and look the names. Everyone is increasing except Tesla, that is reducing 20%. The rest, Tata, India, performing quite well. In India, when I was quoting the first programs, cars with cameras, I thought, wow, in India, we will not sell that much take rate of cameras. It's crazy. They are beating the numbers, the registers of technology in the vehicles like hell. No? So Tata, Mazda, Gridwall, Chery, Changan, Geely, Build Your Dreams. So all Asiatic and most of them being Chinese. So who is taking the cake today? It's the cars, the brands that are producing the cars, that the Xi'an Warrior is throwing to other markets. It's China, mainly. Okay? In China also, if we deep dive, to not bore you, in these 300 slides that I presented, that I will present, there was one that I have not included. In 2020, the share of Chinese OEMs in China, market share was 36%. 2020, today is almost 70%. Volkswagen, that was making gold, is declining a lot. BMW, Mercedes-Benz, that was making almost all the money there, it's also in a severe declining mode. 36 to 70%, China in China. The consequence is that the rest is decreasing from 34 to 30, no? To 64 to 30. Okay, so in this complex environment, which are the challenges of today, okay? First, we have the CO2 legislation in Europe that is provoking a too high speed required in order that we can meet the challenging emissions of 94 grams and even lower in the future per kilometer, okay? This is something that most of the OEM CEOs have been saying it's not possible today. It's not encompassed, the legislation, with the technology. Second, the geopolitical conflicts, China, US, China, Taiwan, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine. All of them are affecting the market and the technology. We have suppliers in Israel that sometimes we're calling them and say, no, this guy is now in the war. Okay, so this engineer is no longer working. We don't know when he will return. The tariffs. The tariff and the China reaction, and the tariff to Mexico. Again, we don't know if it will happen, but if it happens, it will change the landscape of our operations. We will suffer because Mexico also is increasing a lot the labor force. Mexico is applying one law that is reducing and maintaining the salary, reducing the working hours from 48 to 40. Personally speaking, I am happy. I want to work 40 hours. I don't want them to work 48 hours, okay? But it's this I understand. I suppose that almost everyone in the world is agreeing. The problem is that our customers, they are not always willing to accept this into our cost breakdowns. The technological disruption of the EV. Is the market ready? Sometimes people tell me, wow, Ignasi, you work in an automotive company. What shall I do with a vehicle? Shall I buy an electrical vehicle? I say, okay, depend, no? But if I have to buy, taking into account that I have to use in the weekend going to Andorra, probably it will not be my first choice. If I have to go from Terrassa to Barcelona and from Terrassa, then okay. The infrastructure, that today there is a lack of infrastructure of speed chargers. The total cost of ownership that I commented, the availability of rare earths, the dominance of rare earths. China has already posted that they are going to control from now on, against the wall of Biden and the wall of Trump, that China is going to stop the sales of gallium, lithium, and these chemicals that are needed to produce the batteries. The volumes uncertainty, what I was saying of the chief planning officer of one company. In the past was easy, some variations, but now it's impossible. It's impossible to predict who's going to be the winner. Everybody comes saying, no, my company is the best one in the future because I have a special technology better than Tesla, and all of them keep failing. I will not repeat what Cruz was saying 2 years ago, okay? And today they have disappeared. Like this case, many. In China, for example, the OEMs that I was talking about, you saw here 10 or 12. There are 200 OEMs in China, new startups. So if you are not conscious and analyzing well the risk, you can start doing developments of million euros, and then most of the 200 disappear. Some of the consultants say that out of the 200, we'll keep only 10. So it's quite risky. The energy cost, labor, etc. Basically, I have a very dirty crystal wall. I don't know what will happen. I don't know what will happen. I have more questions than answers. The automotive sector is facing the biggest revolution in history, and China being the main player, the main actor. Fasten the seatbelts, enjoy and have fun, more or less like what you hear when you are in a plane. And last but not least, I don't know what the future will look like. I am optimistic, but I need to have the feet on the floor, no? And I have here receipts. Maybe some of them are worth for you if you are working in auto or even not, no? The past receipts in automotive sector, globalization. Globalization, it's no longer a sacred rule. General Motors was everywhere in the world. Now it's only in US and in Brazil and thinking to go out. They went out from Europe selling Opel to Peugeot Citroën. By that time, they went out from India, from many regions. And now in China, they have a big conflict with their partner there, and probably they are going to exit from China. Growth and size, this was a mantra. When I started to work in this sector, how much are the sales? What is the growth? Say, what? But when I went to school, the bottom line, no, the profit, they told me that it's important. Oh, size, and so on. It's no longer. Some people is doing well, for example, General Motors, going to their natural markets, los cuarteles de invierno, yeah? Staying smaller than they were, but making more money. Many products, and diversify it. We do everything, all the models, all the versions, okay? What are today reshapes? The first one, in this context, is to be selective. And to be selective is much more than to be to prioritize. To prioritize, it's okay, I have ABC. If I can, I go to all of them. No. Here, depending on what you select, you can die tomorrow. In less than 2 years, you are a company that disappears. Okay, so you have to be very prudent, knowing what you are. Don't be enlightened by the growth. Okay, be selective, very selective. Profitability before the size. Protect cash flow. Millions of euros in development, every product that we produce and sell. Do alliances in technology. You cannot do everything by yourself and pay everything by yourself. Okay? It's quite obvious. I am discovering here the garlic soup, but my expectation also, or my personal point is that tariff won't work in the long term, maybe in the short term, but not in the long term. Anyone believe that, for example, if this Dutch company that is I don't remember the name, is producing the machines to build up the chips, they cannot sell to China. China will not do the same. Maybe in 3 years or in 4 years or in 5 years, but much better and much cheaper? I think so. China today, for us, is an example of a speed and technology. So you cannot stop the water, you cannot stop this, and tariff won't work. So if tariff won't work, what we need to do, sorry for the European perspective, but we need to do our homework. Our homework is to stop the fines to OEMs. I have to update. I finished it yesterday. Today, Luca De Meo was talking about 15 billion euros that will benefit mainly Tesla and the Chinese OEMs, and will cut CapEx and workforce in Europe. Incentive. How can it be that if you buy electric car, you still have the subsidy after 2 years? It's not efficient. So if there is a politician here, please hurry up. To eliminate the roadblocks to the infrastructures, also to put chargers, very expensive. The renewal, we are not against sustainability. It's not or sustainability or work, it's both. But there are more clever options. For example, in Europe, in the Mediterranean arc, Italy, France, Spain, 14 million cars with more than 14 years of age. Okay? So let's go to do specific plans to renew those, rather than promoting only the EVs. It will help much more the sustainability than the current plans of promoting only the EVs. And finally, the technology disclosure. The previous speech was talking about sovereignty. No? In the past, China did well, and all the companies establishing in China were asked to disclose all the drawings, tolerances, specifications. There are voices that start to say, why we don't do the same? Look what happened with Northvolt, a battery company that was buying all the equipment to Chinese company. Now they are stopped. They don't know how to run the machines. They are controlled. So we need to win sovereignty and asking what China did to other companies 30 years ago as the same. They have know-how on EVs. It's time to do the same in reverse. And that's it. Transforming mobility to improve people's life, it's our purpose. It was the message together with the values of the president. If you have any question, I will be glad to answer, even though my crystal ball is very dirty. Remember. No? Okay, thank you.